Hey, what's going on, y'all? Today we're going to be reacting to a presidential debate by Young Don Reborn. I used to watch a whole lot of Young Don, and I started watching him more ever since he came out and said he was Christian. Um, he started uploading less, from what I've noticed, and he's been doing more videos like this. I'm not too into politics. I don't really pay too much attention to it, and if you're outside the U.S., it's kind of just a real circus act for real, especially now. And if you're inside the U.S., I guess it might help to pay attention to it. I've been slacking on it, kind of, but I'm here to watch it right now. Watch Young Don's reaction. I think that Young Don is pretty entertaining. Um, so we're gonna see what he has to say, see what this presidential debate is about, and see where this goes. Like, comment, subscribe.
So Kamala Harris finally sat down for her first ever solo interview since becoming the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. And guys, it was bad. It was bad. It was embarrassing, really. And the word on the street is Kamala Harris is trying to bury this interview, or at least her team is. CNN hasn't spoken about it at all. Get this. The presidential candidate of the Democratic Party has never given a one-on-one interview. She sits down with a liberal news network to have an interview, and CNN completely radio silent about it. Why? Because she completely flopped. We see the Kamala that we have grown to know. Not the Kamala, the rehearsed, coached, assisted Kamala we saw during the Trump versus Harris debate, where she was given so much help by the moderators. Incredibly biased. It was an embarrassment, truly. But anyway, more than
I will add that I did briefly see a one of Kamala's earlier interviews. And the thing about interviews with presidents is that they're basically interrogations. They want to catch the president slipping. And the one that I saw, I forget who it was, but it was an interview with her. And they were asking her certain questions about the economy, and she just kept slipping up, dodging questions. You know how presidents usually do these days. And one thing is about the inflation, and she said, "Oh yeah, we fixed it." And then they brought up the numbers, and they was basically saying, with her and the Biden administration, they raised it up so high that they couldn't have fixed it with what it's currently at. And then she had to explain. I was like, "Oh yeah, we," basically saying that she raised it so high, and then she brought it back down a little bit, and then she tried to make it as if that's some sort of flex. It's like you break someone's car, and then you fix it. It's like, you see what I'm saying? You break someone's stuff and then you fix it. It's like, it's better if you just didn't break it in the first place. You see what I'm saying? You can't brag about fixing it. Like, oh, I tore your shirt up, but I'll get you a new one. And the new one's not even as good as the old one. You see what I'm saying? That's basically what the last interview with Kamala Harris that I saw was about. Like, she was bragging about kind of, sort of fixing inflation, but her and Biden are the one who's got it up in the first place. It was I think the numbers were like 2% when Trump was in, and then it cranked all the way up to 9%. That's why you see all this expensive stuff for no reason. 9% inflation. And she was bragging that we got it back down to 3 or 4%. So still higher than what it was before. But she was bragging about claiming to get it back down, which, that's the L, man. It's
and
that's
enough
what it is.
conservative spokespeople have spoken about this issue with the debate, and so we're going to go ahead and skip that. Anyway, we didn't see that Kamala, right? We saw the Kamala that we know, the incapable one, the one that is not able to articulate herself in a very confident.
Let me also say that I'm not, like I said, I'm not too into politics, right? So I'm not picking a side, but however, Biden did raise inflation. That's one reason not to take his side. Kamala is also fumbling with all of her words. Not to take her side. That's another reason. It's not looking good for this team, man. I don't really have a dead set, always vote for this side, but these, they look like clowns, man. That's all it is. That's all I'm saying. They're tripping up on their words, and they're not keeping their promises. That's kind of usually how it goes. I say we bring Obama back, man. Make him serve at least 10 more terms. That's just my humble opinion. I'm sure a lot of y'all can agree with me.
Or convincing manner, the one who is
Obama's the only good president in my opinion, but let's go.
incapable of giving a direct response to a question. That's the one thing we see consistent between this interview and the debate, you know. So anyway, let's go ahead and react to this interview because, man, oh man, it's bad.
At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. I wonder if we could drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up in middle class.
Notice how they said start bringing down prices. I wonder who got it up in the first place. I wonder who cranked up all these prices in the first place. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, but let me go rewind a few seconds. You said something about middle class or something. Let's go.
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people.
Nobody cares. That's not what we asked you. We don't care about your family.
All right, this guy Young Don, man, it's fun.
That's not what we asked you. That's not what you were asked, at least. We didn't ask you that. Incapable of answering a question. Economic policies. That's what you were asked. Again, here was the question.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
What are one or two specific things you have in mind for facilitating this opportunity economy that you're speaking about? How you plan to bring down prices and stimulate the economy? What specific? Get specific for us here. We know you want to do an opportunity economy. You can't stop saying it. How though?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn.
Kamala Harris wants you to know, when you ask her, what exactly are you going to do to stimulate the economy, that she grew up in a neighborhood where people were very, very proud of their gardens, their lawns, their sprinkler system, all of it. That's what she wants you to know.
And
You heard that? You heard the hand? You heard the tremor in her voice because she just realized that she did not answer the question at all. And this interviewer is not playing along. He's not like, you know what I'm saying, dropping the hammer on her, but he's also not playing along. He might be secretly a Trump supporter. Who knows?
And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. You know, we have ambitions and aspirations.
Ambitions.
But not everyone.
What is this? Is this the wall of a LA Fitness? You ever gone into like the basketball court area of a LA Fitness? They just have random words like inspiration, motivate. That's all. Dignity, character. That's all this is. It's just a word salad of vague expressions that are somewhat positive that she thinks suffices as an answer to a very, very simple and specific question. One or two specific policies that will help the U.S. economy, that will create this opportunity economy that you keep talking about. I grew up in a neighborhood where people took care of their gardens, okay? People took care of their lawns. They worked hard. Look, Americans today, they work hard.
One necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood, and she was a community leader. She hired locally, she mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy. So my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000.
So is that the solution? We're all just going to start small businesses? So the key takeaway is that a $50,000 tax credit or tax break on small businesses that have just started, it doesn't make it easier to start a business. It doesn't increase the chances that your business will.
Yeah, it's basically if you already have one, it seems like. It is like once you start one, then you can start taking advantage of the tax break, I'm assuming. And I guess maybe for the small businesses out there, that might help them for sure, I'm guessing. But even then, it's like for the average American, what does that really do? You see what I'm saying?
Do well. It's just for those few that very small percentage of the population who are capable of starting a successful business that is able to do relatively well in its beginning years. They will receive a tax break. That's not going to lead to thousands of people being employed. It's not going to make a dent in unemployment. It's going to help a small group of people. Is it good? Is it helpful? Sure. It sounds to me that if you become a YouTuber, the first $50,000 worth of taxes is free, is what I'm gathering from this idea. But again, how many people can become successful YouTubers that can generate so much money that they have $50,000 worth of taxes to pay? So this is nothing. This is nothing. But keep it going.
But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it. Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing.
She's not giving you anything. They're just not going to take your money that you work for, that you manage to generate because you're good at business. They're not giving you anything. They're just letting you keep money they otherwise would have taken. Do you see how this is not a plan?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's basically what a tax break is. They break down the tax. They take some off of what you would have had to owe, basically. And even then, once again, for the average American, what is this really doing?
Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans,
the supply isn't the problem. They're freaking expensive as heck for no reason. I could Google right now the price of a house, bro. It's probably a couple million. I don't feel like Googling it, man. But y'all just take my word for it, bro.
American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. So part of my plan is to work with the private sector and housing developers to give them a tax credit, to be able to partner with us as the government to build, and my goal is 3 million.
She sounds so nervous. It's like she just expects everything she says to come out wrong. And so she just sounds nervous. She's weak. She shouldn't be president. Just off of that alone. The trembling, weak voice shouldn't be president.
That's another thing about being president, man. You have to interact with other countries' leaders. So let's say Biden, was president. He's interacting with some other countries' leaders. This dude is he's super old. It's like you make America look not that good, man. You make America look like we're just a shriveled up pile of bones. See what I'm saying? Like, let's think back to Barack Obama. Man in his 40s, I believe. Maybe 50s. Regardless, he looked healthy. He looked capable. So if he were to go to another country saying, hey, let's do this, this, and this, we go to work together, they would take him serious. He's not, you know what I'm saying? He's wise, smart, he knows what he's doing. Whereas, let's say Biden and Trump as well, they're both old as heck. They're super old, and that doesn't look good in the eyes of other countries. Like, imagine you're the leader of a country, and someone from America has a representative coming to you, their leader, and they're just super old, might as well be in a wheelchair with how old they are. Would you really take that country serious? You probably wouldn't, man. You probably wouldn't. Like, hey, this is your leader? This is who represents your whole country? This old, shriveled up pile of bones? No, man. No. We need to, like, lower, lower the age limit? Yeah, like, it should be younger people. Not like 20s or 30s. I think 40s. Around, in the 40s, maybe 50s. But I think Biden and Trump are like, they're in their 80s, I think, if I'm not tripping.
Just off of that.
Super old. Too old to be president, in my opinion, honestly. Like, you won't be around for the changes that you make. Let's say you're 85 years old and you serve 4 years. You'll be 89, almost 90 years old. All the changes you just made, you're really not going to be around for them. You could change the country in ways that you know is going to hurt the country, and you're not going to be around for it. That doesn't make any sense, man. That doesn't make any sense, in my opinion.
That. Well, let's let her continue.
New homes by the end of my first term. In addition, to help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally, and so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just...
That's not fixing the problem, man. That's not fixing the problem. I'll just give them a couple, like a coupon base. That's basically what it is, a coupon for when they buy a house. The problem is inflation. That's one of the problems. That's one of the problems that Biden and Kamala Harris caused. They caused the inflation. And so, like, hey, we're going to raise the prices, but we'll give you a coupon for your house that's now almost impossible to buy unless you're upper middle class, if not rich. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family.
Okay, a $25,000 handout. This is a scam. And don't take it from me. Take it from this guy.
Everyman covers real estate, big known real estate developer, licensed broker. How does this sort out?
Before they say anything, I'm already using my smart mind. I just thought about it. If you cut off 25,000, right? These house owners, they could just raise it up by another 25. There goes your coupon. Let's say you want a house for 100,000, which that's dirt cheap in America. You lucky if you find a house that cheap. Let's say you find one for 100,000, and then they shave off, before this little administration thing, they shave off 25,000. Now you're at 75. But then these homeowners, they say, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to raise it up another 25. Now you're back to square one. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't fix the root of the problems. It fixes like the symptom, the outcome of what they already did. The inflation. That's one of the problems, at least. It's not fixing the root of these problems, man. Like a coupon for a house, bro. That's basically what it is.
To you, who might be more beneficial to the housing industry, to home ownership?
Neil, great to be back on your show. Let's talk about what Kamala Harris is promoting. It's basically a scam. There are bad ideas, really bad ideas, and idiotic, super bad ideas. And what she's saying is she wants to give everybody $25,000 to help buy a home. So your viewers know this, but for people who don't understand, right now, any given point in time, let's say there's 1 million families shopping for homes in the United States and about 4 million transactions a year. So 1 million families are shopping, And suddenly now we're going to give $25,000 assistance to the possibility to 10 million people who are on the sidelines. Those 10 million people now have $25,000 to buy a home. What does that do to the housing market? It's going to make the prices go even higher and become even less affordable. And
What did I say, man? Like I said, I'm not an expert on politics. Picture me as the average American. Maybe slightly above average, because some people don't think about this stuff. If I was able to just dissect that quick, I'm not even old. I'm not even, you know what I'm saying? It don't take that much to just think and question some of the stuff that these presidents say. Like, it sounds good on paper. You put it into practice, and this is what's going to happen. It's going to raise the prices of houses even more. And then now nobody's got a house. You see what I'm saying? And that's what the stimulus package that they did during COVID was. Here, let's give out, everybody gets a couple hundred, if not $1,000. Now all the prices are up. It's like you're not fixing the root of these problems, man. You're not. And that's why I ain't gonna see who I'm gonna vote for, man. But look, it ain't this person who's not doing math, man. This Kamala chick who don't know basic logic and math. It's not her.
affordability is the central issue, one of the central issues in this coming election. What Kamala Harris is basically saying is, she's saying, I'm going to give everybody $25,000 and that's going to help people, but it ends up having a negative effect. Real estate prices go up further. The only people that win are the sellers. They're going to get higher prices. And real estate taxes go up. Insurance goes up. Rents have to go up to keep up with mortgage prices. So basically what she's doing is punishing everybody. Everyone becomes...
Everybody in America. You watching this, if you live in America, yes, this is what Kamala plans to do. If you have a home or not. If you're lucky enough to have a home, you're still everything's gonna increase. Everything. As if it hasn't already increased enough. Let's keep going, bro.
Worse off by this policy. Hopefully it never gets implemented. It's a horrible idea. Donald Trump has this idea of unlocking federal lands to get more development. That's a good idea. He wants to cut regulation. That's a good idea. But I will say this, the actual ability to increase housing is a state and local issue. It's not a federal issue. There's very little the federal government can do to really force states to create more housing units. And it's basically a political scam what's being promoted right now.
Now, I played you that clip because I know he has more credibility than I do on this matter. But guys, it's economics 101. It's very simple.
Very
you increase the demand, you're going to increase the price if you don't increase the supply. And
Yes.
given essentially a large portion of the population $25,000 to make a down payment on a home, that's just going to add more people to the pool of looking for a house. They didn't have it before, so they weren't looking for a house. They were renting. But now they have this money, they're now looking for a house. Once the demand goes up, the prices.
That's exactly my point, man. Nobody wins. I don't think she thinks these things through. She says it in a nice way to make it seem like, oh, we're gonna fix your problem. This is worse. This is the worst of the worst. Like, people are going to be homeless all across America, or at least they're going to have to, because you can't buy an apartment because the apartments are based on how much mortgages are and how much the housing market looks like. Apartments base their rent off of that, and obviously if the housing market increases and everything, the price of everything increases, then people won't even be able to get an apartment either. There's gonna be homeless. Like, hopefully y'all understand what I'm saying, man.
The houses go up, and then the price of rent goes up to match the price of houses because you don't.
And once again, I can't stress this enough. I am not even an expert on this stuff. This is my first time watching this. I've never watched the presidential debate. I've seen one interview by Kamala Harris where she was talking about some nonsense about how she's going to lower back inflation, even though she's the one who raised it. I'm not an expert, and I'm able to dissect this type of stuff, man.
Don't have a competitive alternative. You can't afford a house. Houses are so crazy expensive. Now we can raise rent, because what else are you going to do? Live under a bridge? And so
That's what I'm
by
saying.
giving a handout, as handouts always seem to do, it just makes everybody's life worse. Now, she mentioned about putting 3 million new homes on the market, and that would be good. There is just under 1 million homes on the U.S. market right now, so that would essentially quadruple the amount of homes for sale in America. And would that help in terms of supply? Well, yes. How does she plan to do that? Doesn't really get into the details. But the point is, Kamala is using the same tired old tactic that the Democratic Party has always used to lure uninformed voters. Give them money. Promise them handouts. Promise them benefits without them understanding how.
That's enough to get the idiots in, man. And I feel like y'all are watching this. Y'all see what's going on here. If you watch this video and you see all the scams they're about to put in place, assuming you vote for her, then now that you've had the information given to you, surely you can make the right decision. I'm not even, look, I might not even vote for real, honestly. I just want to make sure y'all are informed on what's going on here. Because I don't know if the average person thinks this type of stuff through. Like, they probably just hear, oh, $25,000 for a new house, bet, you got my vote. You see what I'm saying? I hope that's not how it goes, man, but there's people like Kamala who are, already a little bit lacking up here, you see what I'm saying? So the average American, I would hope, fingers crossed, man, that people think certain things through, man. Because I would like to have a house in the future, at least. I don't know about y'all.
How it always.
If I can't get a freaking house, man, I'm about to just move out the U.S. I'm gonna just be straight up with you, bro. Because like I said, if you live outside the U.S., watching this type of stuff, it looks like a circus act, bro. It's embarrassing to be here. Sure, it's, we got certain things that other countries don't. But at the same time, there's other countries that are doing arguably better. Better than this nonsense, for sure. And with the way America's headed, it don't look too good, man. And for all y'all history nerds out there, Rome did not, nobody conquered Rome. They destroyed themselves from the inside out. Rome was one of the most powerful, empires, or whatever you want to call it. And they collapsed from the inside out. Now, America is one of the most powerful, countries. Guess what's going to happen? I feel like it's going to be Rome 2.0. It's going to collapse from the inside out. Because of people like... But hey,
comes at a price, whether that price be inflation, higher taxes, or giving away your rights. It's always one of the three. They always come at one of the three.
These are some examples of what I mean when I talk about an opportunity economy, and a lot of it has to do with just the community I was raised in and the people that I admired, who work hard, and deserve to have, their dreams fulfilled because they're prepared to work for it.
She said that, but it sounds like just about anybody can qualify for this $25,000 handout, regardless of how hard you work. Now, I've taken a deeper look into it. There are 2 requirements to qualify for this government handout, and they're only going to give out so many in the period of a year. 1, you have to have a history that you've been paying rent for over 2 years. 2, your parents can't own their own home. So,
bro. What? So if you're from the, let's say, lower class or whatever you want to call it, if your parents are renting their house or an apartment or whatever it may be, you're screwed. Secondly, what was the other thing they said? Where's my mouse at?
And they're only going to give out so many in the period of a year. 1.
First of all, so many houses in the beginning of the year. So off rip, not everybody's gonna get it.
You have to have a history that you've been paying rent for over 2 years.
Paying rent for 2 years. Once again, rent's already high as is. If you don't got a roommate, you're practically screwed, man. You're really screwing yourself over. And You need 2 years of that. So, and with the way they're describing things, rent's probably going to increase as well because of the housing. Because she's going to give out free money. The president's going to give out free money, right? And then that's going to raise the rent. And so this thing right here, that's going to be harder to achieve. 2 years of even more increased rent. That's not going to happen.
2, your parents can't own their own home. So,
yeah. Wait, no. So I said the first part backwards. So, if your parents don't own their own home, then you can get it, I believe. But if your parents do own their home, then you don't get the money. Which still sucks. It's still, cutting out a large demographic of people.
just so you know, if your parents are homeowners, you cannot qualify for this. You need to be a first-generation homeowner. Also, if you already own a house, you can't qualify for it. So there are those restrictions.
I think some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I don't know if you know this, Kamala. Nobody thinks you're literally Joe Biden. Like, nobody thinks you're just Joe Biden walking around with a tan and a wig. That's not what he's asking. He asked you, how are you different in terms of policy? And it's funny to watch her struggle with this question because on one hand, she doesn't want to acknowledge that Joe Biden was just a terrible president. His administration was incompetent and it failed in pretty much every meaningful metric, which she was a part of as vice president. But on the other hand, she doesn't want to retain the stigma, the stank. She don't want to keep the Joe Biden stank on her.
And
Joe Biden stank.
you know, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing.
I offer a new generation of leadership. Translation, I'm younger than Joe Biden. So here are the two ways in which I'm different than Joe Biden. 1, I'm not Joe Biden. I'm Kamala Harris. 2, I am also from a different generation from Joe Biden. You think that's what he was asking?
And creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work. And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore.
Like what? Could you say anything, please? Like what? Like what? What could we take for granted in the past that we can't take for granted now? And what does that have to do with how you're different from Joe Biden in terms of economic policies? It just, oh boy, who is voting for this woman, man?
For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000.
Give out more money.
If you thought the prices were high enough, man, she just mentioned 2 things that are going to greatly increase the prices even more. If you thought things were unaffordable now, prepare for every single price in America to double. That's my prediction. If she gets in the office, bro, you know what I'm saying? To prepare for the worst, get your passport now. Do what you gotta do, man. Do what you gotta do, because
more money to people. That's the solution. You know, why don't more countries like third world countries do this? Don't they just know that the solution to your failing economy and your lack of productivity is just that you're not giving away more money? You know what happened the last time America gave away a lot of money? Inflation. Everything skyrocketed because of COVID. You remember that. That's why we're here, guys, right? A lot of people have this misconception that when the population is spending more money, it stimulates the economy. No, that is actually a symptom, or rather a consequence of the economy getting healthier. The true marker for an economy getting better is production, right? It is businesses and individuals churning out more and better quality goods and services. And that comes from lowering corporate taxes. That's right. Cutting taxes for the rich. That's what stimulates the economy, because these business owners, who are the ones who employ everybody, essentially, well, when they have more incentive to work harder and grow their business and invest in their business to make more money, because they get to keep a good portion of it. And it's precisely a result of that improved production that comes out of, you could call it greed if you want, but, you know, as a businessman, wanting to maximize your earnings and improve your situation and improve the situation of your family, and also just the competitive nature of being a business person wanting to grow your business. Well, the only way to grow your business is for people to give you money. And for people to give you money, you have to offer better and more goods and services, increasing the supply in the market, which lowers the prices of goods. Simple supply and demand. More goods in the market, lower the prices. This is exactly what's going on with the housing. There aren't enough houses, right? The supply isn't there, the demand is very high. And so it's a win-win across the board. It's a win-win across the board when you allow the market to operate as a free market with less regulations. The reason why tax cuts sometimes results in, the economy spiraling downward is because you can't just cut taxes. It needs to be tax reform. You need to also adjust the way that you're spending, and that's also finances 101. You can't spend more than you bring in. So it's not just enough to cut. But what's the problem? Why can't the Democrats go with the solution? Because they live off of appealing to people through things like government assistance and welfare. So if they cut taxes, they don't have enough money to give out as many food stamps and other forms of welfare, which they use to continue to lure in uninformed voters to vote for them. So
don't be that uninformed voter, man. That's what this video is for. I'm gonna skip around a little bit and see what's going on. See if he says anything important.
Major issues right at the forefront of voters' minds in Philadelphia as well, where crime is a significant issue. When we talk about crime, the conversation turns to gun safety as well. And I think you actually probably caught a lot of people off guard.
There have been so many freaking school shootings, man. It's really embarrassing to be in America right now, man. It really is. And it makes you not want to send your kids to school. Imagine a country where you don't want to send your kids to school. What sense does that make? There's been so many school shootings, man. It's not even funny, bro.
It may be a bit by surprise in the debate the other night when you mentioned that you are a gun owner. I know you said it in 2019 as well. I want to talk about your values on this issue. When it comes to gun ownership, where do you draw the line in America on gun ownership and gun use?
Well, like you said, Brian,
I'm speaking for myself. It is extremely easy to get a rifle. I could get one right now if I wanted to. That's how easy it is. I can go to the store right now and get one. Now, handguns, like pistols and whatnot, those are a little bit harder, which is good, but it's a little bit backwards, you know? It's because pistols, you can conceal them and you can sneak in places, so that's a little bit more of a threat somewhat. But then the ease of access of rifles and things like that, that's also a problem, right? Because there's teenagers walking around with rifles. It doesn't make any sense. It's too easy to get your hands on a gun. I think there should be, limitations. I don't think guns should be banned. I think, people have the right to defend themselves, defend their home, defend whatever. But it seems just too easy to get a gun. And then there's the thing where, okay, criminals get guns illegally. So even if you did ban guns, criminals would still get guns however they want to. You see what I'm saying? So let's see what they have to say.
a gun owner, and Tim Walz, my running mate, is also a gun owner. We're not taking anybody's guns away. I support the Second Amendment, and I support reasonable gun safety law.
Well, here's a clip of Kamala Harris saying that she is in favor of mandatory gun buyback. So here he goes.
What would you do about the millions of specifically assault weapons that are already in circulation. What do you do about those?
Well, there are approximately 5 million, to your point, Craig. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Now, I loved how this interviewer actually veered away from the initial question that he was asking. How do you plan to resolve the problem of crime in America? And the grand majority of these crimes are taking place in states and cities where there is heavy gun restriction. Heavier policing and harsher penalties in terms of prison is the solution to that. Why putting in place restrictions on guns don't help with gun crimes is because gun crimes are, at least in this context, are committed by criminals. Criminals don't care about the law. You can take a look at all the countries that completely ban the ownership of...
If you take away guns from, let's say, the random civilian, the law-abiding citizen, criminals will still get their hands on guns. And now the random citizen can't fight back. Now what? You see what I'm saying? It's
guns by citizens. Guys, there's still gun crimes. There are people still murdering people with guns. Why? Because if it exists, you can obtain it. You know what else is illegal in America? Drugs, right? In a lot of states, weed, pretty much every state, cocaine, meth, crack, heroin. I don't know if you know this, but America has a little bit of a drug problem. You know what I'm saying? All you stand to do is reduce the ability of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves using their legal, constitutionally protected firearms.
Part of my approach to this is I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have personally looked at autopsies. I have personally seen what assault weapons do to the human body. And so,
grand majority of gun-related deaths are not committed with assault weapons, as she calls them, or military.
Okay, this explains what I was saying earlier. The reason why handguns are more difficult to get your handguns are more difficult to get your hands on. It's because it's easier to get away with stuff. You see what I'm saying? 6,000 compared to 364. You see what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. It's a different ball game. And that's a surprising amount of other weapons like hammers and whatnot, knives, firearms. Interesting.
Military style weapons. The grand majority of mass shootings, the grand majority of murders are committed with pistols. So in no way is this an actual legitimate way to try and tackle crime in the country. All this is an attempt to move one step closer to completely disarming the population. And why does the Democratic Party want to do that? Because they are covert Marxists. That's why. In their mission to advance America to being a communist nation, one of the most important steps in establishing a successful communist regime is, of course, stripping the population of their ability to protect themselves. So,
yeah. So let's see what else he has to say. I'm gonna let him finish up his sentence, and then I'll call this a wrap, man.
That's all this is. Just trying to move one step closer to achieving that.
I feel...
Yeah, okay. If this hasn't convinced you yet that, you know, you should think twice, or at least not even think twice, just do your research on these presidents, man, both of them. Do your research on both of these presidents. And fact check. Don't be afraid to fact check them, man, because a lot of stuff they say, they can just say it and just... there'd be no receipts behind it. Some of the stuff they say is just a flat out lie. I encourage y'all to just, do your research on these presidents, man. This is what, 30 minutes? 30-minute video. The video that I'm probably about to upload is about to be like 40 minutes. I just want y'all to do your research before y'all vote. And if you're from a different country, I guess just sit back and grab your popcorn and just see how crazy this stuff gets, man. You should count your blessings and be glad that this type of stuff isn't going on in your country if you are outside America. And if you're in America, man, please do your homework before you vote. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say who I'm going to vote for, but I'm probably not going to vote for the president that doesn't know what they're talking about. If I voted at all, I've never voted before. Because it's just, ever since I've been of age to vote, it's just been wacky presidents. So We'll see, man. We'll see when it's election time. But I don't want to take up too much of y'all time, man. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you found this video informative or entertaining or literally anything, if you gained something from this video, like, comment, subscribe, comment who what you think about this video or the presidential debate or just the country's state in general. And with that said, y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.